Hello, thank you for attending our presentation on bid protest insurance, your path to profitable business. The idea for this insurance product was brought to us by federal contractors who asked us, why don't you offer insurance that will protect us from a bid protest? This is the only insurance product of its kind. How to protect yourself from losing thousands of dollars in time and money during a bid protest. In this presentation, we'll show you how this works. Let me ask you, are you aware that any one of your competitors can initiate a bid protest on the contract you were awarded, costing you tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses? Protests are impossible to predict, as are the outcomes. You should have a professional on your side. Protest. This is a process where an interested party asks the GAO to determine whether a federal agency has failed to comply with regulations for procurement of the job. What's at risk? In any award, there's first a contract award and then a start work date. Following that, there's an investment on the part of the federal contractor for wages, materials, equipment, rent, and insurance. A lot of these costs on the contract are front-ended. When a protest is lodged with the GAO, generally a stop work order is put in place on that contract awardee. Everything stops until a decision is made by the GAO. Without bid protest insurance, the contractor and his staff must immediately focus on the protest. They must spend thousands of dollars and time to address a protest, and spend thousands of dollars and time to find, hire, and pay a qualified bid protest attorney. If you lose your protest, you are out of 100% of costs expended to begin your contract. If you have bid protest insurance, you receive this notice, you call the bid protest insurance hotline, you're immediately connected with a pre-selected and vetted bid protest attorney to fight the protest. 100% of these legal costs are covered, and if you lose a protest, which means the protest is sustained and you lose the contract, 90% of these invested costs are reimbursed by the insurance. Insurance. Bid protests can impact a profit margin by between 10 to 20% of the contract value. We will show you that information. The projected premium for that bid protest insurance is 1/4 of 1% of the total contract value. We saw the massive risk of bid protests, especially for smaller companies, and are the first to offer this innovative solution. Coverage is provided by an insurance company rated A, excellent by AM Best & Company. So how does this coverage work? Well, first you have to apply for the insurance. You do this by going to bidprotestinsurance.com, where you complete a streamlined short form application. We only require you to provide basic information on your operation and contract size, and the application can be completed in less than 5 minutes. We issue a response from when you complete your application with a detailed quote for coverage. The projected premium for the cost of coverage is 1/4 of 1% of the contract value. Now, on the website, you apply for and then order the coverage. If you are awarded the contract, we will bill you the premium and you have coverage. If you are not awarded the contract, we do not bill you and you have no coverage. As the slide says, if you don't receive the award, you will not pay premium, so there's no risk at all to you. If you wait until you've received a stop work order or a notice of a bid protest, it's too late. You need to apply for coverage prior to the award and order coverage in the event you win the award. Now we'll talk about how our policy works and the coverages we provide. Our policy provides two distinct and valuable coverages. The first coverage is bid protest legal costs. Following a GAO bid protest, this coverage section will pay 100% of your legal expenses to respond to the protest, up to $50,000, and then 80% of your legal expenses going forward if you use one of our panel legal firms that specialize in GAO protests. You can
You can also use your own counsel outside of our panel firm, subject to our approval, and this policy will cover 80% of their expenses up to the policy limit. The legal expense coverage works in that we have a pre-selected panel of specialized bid protest attorneys. We have researched, interviewed, and selected attorneys who are bid protest experts. Contractors who purchase bid protest insurance can call our claim hotline and receive free immediate assistance from our legal experts. The second coverage is coverage for sustained bid protest expenses. If the GAO bid protest is sustained and you subsequently lose your award or your contract, this coverage section will reimburse the expenses you incurred up to 30 days after you initially won your award. The coverage reimburses 90% of direct costs, actual wages, and related costs, and some indirect costs reasonably and necessarily incurred as set forth in the policy. Regarding the contract size that we can provide bid protest insurance for, we're able to entertain contracts of any size. All you need to do is go to bidprotestinsurance.com and complete the short form online application, and we will be able to turn around quickly a quote for you. Next, we'd like to talk to you about how our bid protest insurance works with actual sustained bid protests that have occurred in the past. For claim scenario 1, this contract amount was for $1.7 million. Without purchasing bid protest insurance, this company incurred startup direct costs, including materials, of $159,375. They also incurred initial wages spent of over $68,000, resulting in total direct costs spent of $227,397. The legal expenses to respond to this bid protest also cost this contractor $40,000. In total, the contractor spent $267,397 to respond and ultimately lose their award.
Regarding the startup costs, we also factor in the idea that there is lost time and opportunity cost. Certainly, the contractor and his staff will have to stop what they're doing on other jobs and spend time and effort to respond to the bid protest. Now, the opportunity cost, if they're spending time and effort on this bid protest, they're not going to have time and effort available to work on other jobs, so they'll be losing lost time and also opportunity cost.
Now, specific to this first claim scenario 1, if this contractor had purchased bid protest insurance, their total contract amount, which they would have at the time of award, would have been $1.7 million. They would have spent that $267,000 and change, less the deductible of $22,740. They would have had a claim payment covering their costs of $244,657. In addition to this, they would have been able to call up our claims hotline and be put in touch immediately with experts on bid protests who would have taken the response to the bid protest off their plate, saving them lost time and opportunity costs. And for all of this, the premium would have been $4,250. Next, we'd like to show you how our bid protest insurance would work for a much larger contract. This is also a contract that had a sustained bid protest within the last year. The total contract amount was over $10 million. The startup direct costs, including materials, for a contract of this size is over $1 million, with the initial wages being over $400,000. The total direct costs spent to ramp up this contract were $446,153, with legal expenses amounting to $60,000, with total spent and lost being $1.5 million. Had this contractor purchased bid protest insurance, the claim payment would have been $1.3 million, including the lost time and opportunity costs. And for all of this, the estimated premium would have been $20,000.
If all this insurance did was give you peace of mind when you propose a new contract, would it be worth it? If all this did was make sure that any legal costs or protests would be covered, would it be worth it? Or if all this policy did was reimburse up to 50% of the contract value on losses you incurred, would it be worth the insurance premium? We have shown in the earlier examples that very clearly 15% of the contract value can be lost on a awarded contract that is protested. The premium being roughly one quarter, 1% of the contract value. We know that you really don't want to be the subject of a bid protest, and you certainly don't want to lose a bid protest due to lack of resources. Another question is, will a competitor lodge a bid protest if he knows you have free expert legal assistance? If you have already been through this process, you understand just how costly it can be in time and money and effort. If you haven't, it's only a matter of time. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation today. We hope that you will take the time to think about our product and go to our website, bidprotestinsurance.com, where you can read more about the product and look at our quote process. At this time, we'd like to ask if there's anybody that's attending has any questions about our product.
Yeah, I have a question. I noticed that in your scenarios you added lost time and opportunity costs. Why did you choose to do that?
Yeah, when we interviewed contractors, federal contractors, as we were putting the product together, what we found that when a bid protest happens, as we said earlier, everyone has to stop everything they're doing and respond to the protest. They can't just let it happen. And very often people lose sight of the fact that, especially in a smaller business, but even in a larger business with a staff, that any lost time that is lost while you're responding to a bid protest is significant, and also the opportunity cost, which is the other opportunities that you're not able to take advantage of because you're working on this bid protest. And the aim of our insurance coverage is to take a lot of that time and effort away from you.
All right, that makes sense. Well, how do I get coverage?
Yeah, go to our website, bidprotestinsurance.com, and there's a tab for Get a Quote. So quote through onto the quotation. It'll ask you just some very basic information about your company and the contract you're bidding on, and we will get back to you shortly after that with a quotation. You then accept the quotation, and then when the bid protest is awarded, we will charge you the premium and issue the policy. You need to agree to the quote prior to the award being issued.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, I have a question. What if I don't win the contract?
Yeah, if you don't win the contract, even if we assume that you would have ordered the coverage, if you don't win the contract, we do not bill you, and you do not have any coverage. This coverage is only for contractors who have won the award. So there'd be no premium charge if you don't win the award.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Thank you.
All right, if there's no further questions, we direct you again to go to bidprotestinsurance.com and take a further look at our product. Thanks very much for your time. Bye.
Thank you.